Tonight, you will open an app on your phone. You'll do it without thinking. It might be the first thing you do when you wake up or the last thing you do before you close your eyes. Your thumb will press the icon, your screen will light up, and you will swipe down. You'll pull the feed down, release it, and wait for a fraction of a second while a little loading wheel spins.
In that tiny, quiet moment of waiting, your brain is doing something terrifying. It isn't just waiting for a video to load. It is reacting to a psychological trap designed by the finest minds in Silicon Valley. A weapon built to exploit a primitive glitch in human biology. Every time you pull down to refresh a feed, you are playing a digital slot machine. And just like the flashing boxes on the Las Vegas casino floor, that little loading wheel was engineered to make sure you never, ever want to stop pulling the lever.
To understand how we got here, we have to look at how your brain handles a single chemical, dopamine. Most people think dopamine is the chemical of pleasure. They think your brain releases it when you eat a slice of pizza, win a prize, or get a compliment. But modern neuroscience has proven that this is completely wrong. Dopamine is not the reward chemical. It is the anticipation chemical. It is the molecule of craving, of seeking, of wanting more. In the 1950s, a psychologist named B.F. Skinner discovered something bizarre while studying behavior in animals. He placed pigeons inside a box with a small lever. If the pigeon pressed the lever, a food pellet fell out. The pigeons quickly learned the rule. Press the lever, get food. They would press it when they were hungry, eat their fill, and then walk away. The behavior was perfectly logical, predictable, and calm. But then, Skinner decided to break the machine. He rewired the box so that when the pigeon pressed the lever, food didn't come out every time. Instead, it came out randomly. Sometimes the pigeon would press it once and get food. Sometimes it had to press it 5 times, sometimes 10. What happened next shocked him. The pigeons didn't give up. Instead, they went completely insane. They stopped doing anything else. They stood in front of the lever, pecking at it compulsively, hundreds of times an hour. They didn't stop when they were full. They didn't stop when their beaks grew sore. The unpredictability of the reward transformed a simple habit into an absolute unbreakable obsession.
Skinner called this a variable ratio schedule of reinforcement. In plain English, variable rewards. When a reward is 100% guaranteed, your brain releases a small, predictable splash of dopamine. But when a reward is uncertain, when you might get something amazing, or you might get absolutely nothing, the dopamine system goes into overdrive. The uncertainty creates a massive, agonizing spike of craving. The lack of a guarantee is exactly what makes the behavior addictive.
For decades, this dark psychological loophole was mostly confined to casinos. Slot machines are built entirely on Skinner's discovery. You pull the handle, the reels spin, and most of the time you lose. But every now and then, you win a little bit. And very rarely, you win a lot. That exact randomness is why people will sit in a flashing room for 14 hours straight, wearing diapers so they don't have to leave their seat, pouring their life savings into a plastic box. But in the late 2000s, a group of engineers realized they could take the exact mechanics of a Las Vegas slot machine and put them inside the pocket of every single human being on Earth. The man who invented the pull-to-refresh mechanism was an engineer named Loren Brichter. When he first designed it for an early Twitter app called Tweety, it was actually a technical solution to a design problem. Early smartphones didn't automatically update feeds well, so users needed a way to manually tell the app to check for new data. Brichter's solution was elegant. Pull the screen down until it clicks, then let go. But tech platforms quickly realized that this mechanism didn't just solve a technical problem, it solved an economic one. Social media companies don't sell products to you, they sell you to advertisers. Their entire business model relies on a single metric: attention. The longer they can keep your eyes locked onto the screen, the more ads they can show you, and the more money they make. They needed a way to keep you hooked, and the pull to refresh mechanism was the perfect slot machine lever. Think about what happens when you do it. You open an app, the feed at the top is old stuff you've already seen. You pull down, the screen stretches. There is a brief, deliberate delay, a moment of artificial suspense where the loading wheel spins. Will it be a boring notification? Will it be a comment from an angry stranger? Or will it be a viral video that makes you laugh, a message from someone you like, a validation of your entire existence? It is completely random. It is variable reinforcement delivered straight into your nervous system 24 hours a day. Tech companies hired behavioral psychologists, neuroscientists, and attention engineers to optimize these micro interactions. They studied the exact duration the loading icon should spin to maximize your anxiety and anticipation. If it loads instantly, the slot machine effect is ruined. There's no suspense. If it takes too long, you get bored and close the app. It has to hit a psychological sweet spot, just long enough for your brain to flood itself with dopamine in anticipation of the reward. And it didn't stop with pull to refresh. Look at the infinite scroll. In the early days of the internet, websites had pages. You would scroll to the bottom of an article or a forum, click page 2, and wait for it to load. That tiny button was what psychologists call a stopping cue. It was a natural pause that forced your conscious mind to wake up and ask a question. Do I actually want to keep reading this? Am I done here? In 2006, an engineer named Asa Raskin invented the infinite scroll. It eliminated pages entirely. As you reached the bottom of a feed, the next batch of content loaded automatically, seamlessly, forever. Raskin later expressed deep regret for his invention. He calculated that the infinite scroll wastes decades of human lifetime every single day because it robs the human brain of its natural stopping cues. It creates a state of psychological frictionlessness. Your brain is a cognitive miser. It takes the path of least resistance. By removing the tiny barrier of clicking a button, tech companies turned a conscious choice into a mindless, hypnotic loop. You slide into a state of zombie scrolling, where you look up at the clock and realize 2 hours have vanished, and you can't even remember a single thing you just looked at.
The consequence of this engineering is a massive, silent restructuring of human attention. Your brain adjusts to the environment it lives in. If you spend hours every day operating on a variable reward schedule, where novelty, shock, and validation are delivered every 3 seconds at the swipe of a thumb, your baseline dopamine requirement changes. Regular life begins to feel agonizingly slow. Reading a book feels like a chore because a page doesn't flash or change colors. Having a conversation with a real human being feels inefficient because they don't have a pull to refresh button. We are training ourselves to become completely intolerant of boredom. But boredom is exactly where deep thought, creativity, and self-reflection are born. When you eliminate every quiet gap in your day with a hit of digital dopamine, you aren't just relaxing. You are outsourcing your internal world to an algorithm designed by a corporation. The slot machine isn't just in your pocket anymore. It has rewired how we think, how we feel, and how we interact with reality. We traded our focus, our patience, and our peace of mind for a spinning wheel and an endless feed. Tonight, when you reach for your phone and your thumb mindfully hovers over that screen, remember the pigeons in Skinner's box. Remember that the machine isn't waiting for you to use it. It is actively using you. And every time you pull down to refresh, you are letting an algorithm decide exactly how much your attention is worth.